You're here with us one more time. I want to give you a quick announcement. Next week, August the 20th, is going to be Sabbath Sunday. So we will not be meeting together in the evening at 6 p.m. However, we will still be here at 10:30 for you. We want for you to make sure you get your family together, or you come if you're alone. Come be with us at 10:30 in the morning or whatever time of day you watch this, so that we can have communion together and just celebrate in the rest that God has given us all. That's why right now church is who we are, because we believe that everything we do comes from a place of rest because of the work of Jesus Christ. So don't forget, August the 20th is going to be our Sabbath Sunday. We will not meet at 6 p.m., but we will be right here for you on Facebook Live and on YouTube. God bless you. Can't wait to see you. Good morning right now, church. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know that today is going to be a blessing for you. We have had so much fun this summer. Can y'all believe it's already over? Kids are going back to school already. Ha ha ha, kids. You got to go back to school. Ha ha ha. Some of you have already gone back. That just brings me so much joy and makes me laugh because I know you're enjoying school. I know you love it, and I know you couldn't wait to go back. Parents, send them out the door. It's time for them to go. But this is such a serious time in all actuality. Kids going back to school, you pray and you hope, for their safety, number one. And we just pray and hope that there's a successful year for them this year, that they have great experiences and learn how to navigate the tough ones. But the reality is we send our kids every day out into the school system, whatever school you may be a part of, and we send them out independent of us. And a lot of times, I don't know about you, but I wonder how my kids behave whenever I'm not around. The reality is most of us know how our kids behave whenever we're not around, because all you got to do is go to their room after they've been in there for a while without you there and take a look at how it looks in there, and then you'll know exactly how they behave. But I wonder how they interact. I wonder what they do. I wonder how do they do in their class, not just in the schoolwork, because the grades come out on that, but how are they behaving? How are they interacting? What do the teachers think of them? What kind of name and reputation are they creating for themselves? I think about those things. And I know that the Lord pays attention to those things as well. Jesus said in the Gospels, "Behold, I send you out as sheep among wolves." He knew that his people, his children, his disciples were going to be put into this difficult and adverse situations, and there's going to be certain expectations on them. So in thinking about that today, I've been wondering, as I'm really paying attention to, what is God's idea about us and our behavior, who we're supposed to be. For the next several weeks, I'm going to be coming from a topic of this thematic sense of cleaning house. Okay, we're getting into a school year. We're getting rid of old clothes that kids don't wear anymore. We're buying new clothes and putting those new wardrobes in place for some of us. We're getting new school supplies, new haircuts, all kinds of different things, because we're grooming and prepping ourselves for something brand new. And so it just kind of got me to thinking, how do we do that? What is the process? What's your process for cleaning house? Is it cosmetic? Do we just make sure it looks okay and smells okay? Do we deep clean? Some people deep clean. I've been around people, they clean the house like somebody else lives there. I mean, I've seen it happen. I've watched people clean house where it looks like if they get it wrong, they might, not pass inspection and get evicted. And that's great, But how do you clean house? What do you do? My father, I used to love watching my father vacuum. Actually, if you ask Pastor E, it's probably one of the few things I do well in the house. But my father, when he would vacuum, it wasn't just this. You ever seen somebody vacuum and they're just kind of moving the vacuum cleaner back and forth, just going over carpet and just kind of getting the areas you can see? My dad didn't do that. When my dad vacuumed, my dad would move the furniture, vacuum underneath the furniture, put it all back, and he would move through the entire home that way. Never was a good day for me on vacuuming day in the Castaneda household growing up, because my favorite place to hide things was under my bed. And so as soon as my dad moved the bed out of the way so that he could vacuum, there was everything under there, from batteries to remote controls to pizza boxes to chicken to hamburgers from McDonald's, like you name it. A few science projects that just ended up being science projects because I would just stuff them under the bed. I was a kid, you know. So for those of you parents getting on to your kids for stuffing stuff under the bed, it happens. Don't act like you didn't do it. But it's just get under there more often and it won't build up as much. But my dad would always find what was under the bed, because the way he cleaned house was to move everything so that everything was clean, what you could see and what you couldn't see. See, to me, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to, at that age, to clean under there. Why would you? Nobody's under there. But my father said, it's there. I know it's there. So I'm going to do it. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. So we moved into a house as an adult with hardwood floors. That's what we decided to do. No vacuuming up in here. Now we do got some rooms to vacuum, and we do get that done, and your boy still does a good job. But it was because of the way that my father taught me. All the lines going one way, everything just looking clean and pristine. It's the way my father works. And so I've been able to make that comparison to the way the Lord operates in our lives. God's not interested in just doing a surface work in us. God is interested in cleaning the places and clearing up and changing and transforming the areas of our lives that the truth is we've been so busy maintaining the visible parts of our life, we're not even paying attention to what's hidden. And God is about paying attention to what is hidden. It brings me to this passage in Matthew. In Matthew chapter 5, and I'm going to be reading from the Beatitudes. It's the Sermon on the Mount, and Jesus preaches this wonderful message. And here's what he says as he's beginning this message. He says, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? It is then good for nothing but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." Father, I'm asking that you bless the reading, hearing, and the doing of your word. So Jesus is talking about salt. You know, right before this, Jesus actually goes through the blessings. You know, blessed are the poor in heart. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are those who blessed are the meek. He blessed are those who are persecuted for my name's sake. Blessed are the peacemakers. He goes through the different blessings that come with those of us who are about what God has purposed for us to do. God has created this desire in us to seek after him. Now, most of us get caught up seeking after other things. We're seeking more, but we're seeking more of something else. I just want you to know the desire to seek more is placed within us by God so that we would seek him. That's why God has placed all the evidence of his invisible attributes throughout the world so that it would give witness to him. Romans tells us that all throughout the world, your invisible attributes are made manifested in what is seen, so that none of us have an excuse. The air, the way the earth is positioned, the sun, the seasons, everything that is there, God has placed it there so that we can wonder, where did it all come from? And all of it points us back to him. But Jesus goes from talking about the blessings that come on those who carry and conduct themselves in the way that demonstrates who he is. He goes from that to all of a sudden he says, you are the light and the salt. You're the salt of the world. You are the salt of the earth. You bring seasoning, you bring preservation to this world. And he says, if a salt loses its flavor, then what is it good for? You know, that got me thinking. Have you ever eaten something that's just too salty? What does that do? You know what I'm saying? Like you eat something that's just way too salty, and instantly dries out your mouth and then shocks the senses. It immediately dries out your mouth. Well, when your mouth gets dry, what happens? You get thirsty, right? So the reality is, most of us get upset and frustrated because people look at us a little bit different as a believer because of the way we conduct ourselves and the way that we handle ourselves, not realizing that they might disagree with you. They might even come at you. They might speak ill of you. But what's really happened is salt has been presented to someone that's not used to that flavor, and now they've become thirsty. And the design that God has placed on spreading the gospel is that both people who are willing to come and listen and both people who will criticize and persecute, both of them are actually manifesting the same response to the God-given breath that's on the inside of your life. They have two different responses that comes from the same thing. The way that you've behaved has made them thirsty. It's made them desire to understand, or it's made them want to know why. And sometimes why comes out different. Sometimes why comes out like, why? And other times it comes out like, why? You know, there's times that I'll do things because Pastor Javi, I do things. And when I do them, sometimes my wife says, why? And other times she says, why? Like, why did you do that way? Both of those come from the same reaction. Something I did created curiosity, and that curiosity made there be a desire for interaction. It's thirst. It makes them thirsty. And the Bible taught us in the Beatitudes that blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. So we're supposed to make this world thirsty. Now, I know we live in the 21st century and thirsty means something totally different. If a woman's thirsty, it's not a good thing. If a man's thirsty, that's not a good thing. But when it comes to thirst for righteousness' sake, it's always a good thing. And your lifestyle, my lifestyle, is supposed to make this world thirsty. It's why Jesus said things like, bless those who curse you, do good to those who spitefully use you. Why? It makes people thirsty. It makes them wonder why. And when we make them wonder why, it leads to questions being asked, and all of a sudden we have an opportunity to point them to Jesus. So that's the salt. Our life is designed to create in people a thirst for God's presence, even if they don't know what they're thirsty for. Have you ever been hungry or thirsty, but you didn't know what you wanted? You just know you wanted something to eat or you wanted something to drink, but you weren't sure what. Isn't that the most frustrating thing? I mean, you can be home and you're getting ready to leave the house. You know you're going to go eat. The shoes are on. You're dressed. You brushed your teeth already. Car's got gas, pockets got money, everyone's ready to go, and you're sitting there, then you get in the car, and then somebody asks the question that ends civilization. What do you want to eat? And everybody knows they're hungry, but nobody knows what they want. Well, I don't know. What do you want to eat? Well, I really don't have a taste for anything. I eat whatever you eat. I'm just hungry. Well, I don't know. Then what do you want to eat? And then you go through your eating journal. Well, what did we eat yesterday? Well, yesterday we had that on Tuesday. And then it comes time to, nobody knows what they want, but everybody knows what they don't want. And all we've done is talk about what we don't want. Pastor Erica already knows that the last thing she should ever suggest to me when we go out to eat is a sandwich. If I want a sandwich, I can make a sandwich at home. I don't want to go pay $12 for a sandwich when I can eat one in my house for $1.37. I don't want to go have sandwiches. I know what I don't want, but rarely do we know what we do want. That's why it is important for us to live our life as believers on display, letting people know that what they're wondering about on the inside of us is Jesus. We always have to point them to Jesus. But when Jesus starts talking about the salt, he then immediately goes into light. And it makes me wonder, why did it changed from salt to light. We went from talking about a preservative and a seasoning to talking about light, to talking about something that illuminates and directs and guides. Well, the reason is just what I explained to you. We're supposed to create a thirst in people, but then we are equally supposed to give them guidance and direction to what the source of what's going to cure their thirst comes from. We're supposed to point them to Jesus. We're supposed to be the church. So Jesus goes into talking about this light. I want to read it one more time to you. In verse 14, you are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to the house. So when I think about this light, here's what gets my attention. I'm thinking about why would we have this light within us? That light is meant to expose. Light is meant to expose what's in the dark. This phone naturally lights up whenever I use it. However, if I cover this phone, the light's still shining, but you can't see it. When I uncover this phone, the light is on, then there's a screen that displays what the light was intending for you to see. Well, I've learned something about this, is that if you have a dirty light bulb, that light is not going to illuminate the same color that the designer intended for it to illuminate. It's going to have a shade over it. So here's the thing about the light. The light first exposes what's on the light before the light ever exposes what's in the light. In other words, the light that God has called us, we are the light of the world, first ought to display what's in us. A lot of us get more concerned with exposing and shining light on what's going on in other people, what's going on in politics, what's going on in the world, what's going on in our spouse. Why do they chew like that? Why he always wears them socks? How come he don't ever match? How come he don't ever match whenever he comes out the house? How come he don't take care of that? Our light goes on to expose what's around us, but the first thing the light is supposed to expose is what's in us. What's it coming from? But things get in the way of that. It's where I want to get to. Things get in the way of that. Jesus said that a city on a hill cannot be hidden. A lot of us want to isolate and withdraw. But if you carry the gospel, if God is alive on the inside of you because of the redemptive work of Jesus, if you're the church, you can't hide. He says that you're a city set on a hill. It can't be hidden. God has set you up so that you can be seen. Now, it doesn't mean we become attention hogs. It doesn't mean that we have this desire for fame and notoriety. No. What it means is that we live with an understanding that people are going to see us. We are going to be visible to the outward world, who's then going to have a perception that we then are responsible for. I'm not responsible for the way you treat me, but I am responsible for the image I give out on how you perceive me. I'm responsible not for your perception, but for the image. I am 100% responsible for that. Jesus goes on to say that no one lights a lamp and puts it under a basket. Now, when I read this, it makes sense. You get the light. Think about a lampshade. A lampshade totally goes against what a light is for. It doesn't make really any sense. But why do we do it? Because it is aesthetically and cosmetically pleasing. We cover the lamp with the opposite of what the light is for. We even call it lamp shade. Why would I shade something that's designed to light? It doesn't make any sense. But the reason we do it is because it is cosmetically pleasing, and sometimes without the lampshade, the light's too bright. But in doing some research, I found something else out about this particular verse. That word for basket in the King James Version says bushel. Well, that got me interested because the only thing I know about bushels, I don't know much because I'm not a farmer, but I know there's bushels of apples, or is that a bunch? There's a bushel of something. Something in agriculture. Somebody put it in the comments there. I don't know. See, shows how much I know. I know that you can buy a bushel of cilantro. I know that. But yeah, that's what it is. A bunch of apples and a bushel of cilantro. But that wasn't what I was going to say. I digress. But bushel is not the same as basket. That word bushel actually comes from the Greek word that means weight. It's a measurement of weight. So what Jesus is saying is we don't turn on a light and then put weight on it. And what happens is a lot of us put weight on what God has given us freely. I want to ask you today, what's weighing you down? What's weighing you down? And don't think so literal. Like me, the smart aleck in me, automatically thought the only thing weighing me down is me. But the reality is, what's weighing you down? I literally believe that God had me come on this morning just to ask you that question. What is weighing you down? Is it the fear of the future? Is it your finances? Is it your marriage? Is it your relationship with your kids? Is it your health? What is weighing you down? It's important for us to determine that, because whatever's weighing us down is what we are illuminating to the rest of the world. It's the image that we're casting. Whatever's covering the light is affecting the way the light is illuminating the world around us. So I want to be real simple with you today before we get to tonight and ask you the question, what is weighing you down? What is covering the light that God has placed on the inside of you? What is it? Because here's the thing. The light's still shining. It's just hidden behind the weight. And the only way for us to give off the image that God has called us to give is to remove the weight from over that light. Well, Pastor Javi, how do I do that? Number one, we own it. We own the fact that, hey, you know what? My problems in my marriage, it's literally just been it's been overriding everything in my life. I've taken this problem that I can't solve, and I've begun to carry that demeanor into everything that I'm doing. It's made me a cynic. It's made me hard to be around. It's made me depressed. I have to admit that this problem in my life, we own it. We just got to own it. We have to own the fact that, you know what? Everything's not okay under here. There's some hard stuff happening behind this curtain. The second thing we have to do is be willing to spend time with the one we've been avoiding. And I'm talking about God. Be willing to spend time with God and not talk about the problem. You know, here recently, that's something that we've been practicing, is just not praying about anything, just spending time in the presence of God, putting on some worship and resting, knowing God is in this place, and just be there, just being there without feeling like God has to perform or I have to perform. Be willing to be in the presence of God. That's where light comes from. James says that every good and perfect gift comes down from the Father of lights, in whom there is no shadow or variation of turning. God is where light comes from. So if we spend time in the presence of God, it radiates, it illuminates, it gives us light. Number 3, shine. Own it. Spend time with the one we've been avoiding and shine. Be willing to shine. Be willing to smile. It's okay. Yeah, you know what? The problem's not solved yet, but I'm going to have joy. Did you know that joy doesn't mean happiness, and it doesn't even mean laughter? Joy means, in the biblical sense, what biblical joy is resolve, internal resolve to know the season will change. It is an internal resolve to know that the season will change. And I believe somebody out there today needs to hear the season's going to change. It's not always going to be like this. You're going to come out of this thing. God is with you in it, and God is going to continue to bring you through it. And it will not be this way always. This too shall pass. Own it. Spend time with the one you've been avoiding and shine. Be willing to shine. That's it for me today. I want to see you again tonight. I hope that you're going to come out and see us at 5917 66th Street. Listen, we're going to be there tonight at 6 in person. God has a word for you, so do not miss it. And also, once again, please don't forget, next Sunday is Sabbath Sunday. We will not be meeting at Collective in the evening, but we will be meeting right here at 10:30 to be with you for communion. So God bless you. We love you. Can't wait to see you. Until then, go be the church.